Tim, this is just for my own entertainment. Maybe the time is now. You know, I contacted you about a year ago, perhaps presaging the drop of your not really a entertainment character's persona. Smart move. Ben Avery is not really a public-facing character, so you finally gave him the grace to stop trying to make himself an entertaining character when really he's when really he's sort of a MK Ultra assassin type, don't rock the boat, camouflage person, more than he's a cartoon character or a clown. So you finally stopped trying to get blood out of a stone with Ben Avery. Smart move. So you're talking about Wendy's. You know, I think last time you were talking about Pizza Hut, right? No one out pizzas Hamas. You were talking about Pizza Hut last time, and now you're talking about Wendy's, and no one has yet taken you up on this offer. If John Candy had said on a talk show that he wanted to promote a McDonald's or Wendy's or Pizza Hut, the whole commercial, remember when commercials were like part of the Super Bowl? Like commercials like Coke versus Pepsi, the Noid, flipping in, you know, if John Candy had said that he was particularly affectionate for one specific fast food company, they would have made an entire commercial series. It would have been 3 years of narrative. Now, instead of all that, we got that. That's it. That's all there is right there. That's it. That's it. That's everything right there. And it knows what I'm talking about. With a face like Pete from Goof Troop. I don't even want to. I have a cousin who looks like that. I saw a girl that looked like you, Tim. No, it was a boy. I saw a younger man who looked like you, and the communication was, how would this look like in a girl? And I was like, different than I thought. I thought that Tim Dillon wouldn't particularly make an attractive girl, but at least you don't look like Pete from Goof Troop. Anyway, so I feel like telling you about what I think is really going to change the restaurant industry and the fast food industry. Good day. So, even with fancy restaurants, the name of the game is to source the most affordable items and to charge a lot. And although and that's why restaurants try to make it the idea that they go to the local farmer's market and that they go down to the pier to get the fresh whatever. That's why they do that, because the actual name of the game in terms of restaurants is to just source the cheapest materials that you can and then sell the service. That's why you had Trader Joe's ravioli at the Italian place. So let's talk about gluten-free. Hello. Gluten-free means, if I were to make a documentary about gluten-free, I would call it parts per million. And that's because if you poison someone, you could do it wrong. You could poison them with too much stuff and then they puke. You could poison them with not enough and they just get sick, or they get a little bit of damage. They don't die. So poisoning someone is difficult. But allergies is different. Allergies is like bad politics. A little bit goes a long way and everything turns against you. Because it's a person's own system that becomes the enemy when it gets an allergic reaction. Let's just wait until this thing stops. What is... did you hear that? It's been 20 minutes of... I told you, that's all it is. That's all there is. There's no more commercials and Americana and Sega versus Nintendo. Now it isn't even I've got all the systems, and it isn't even I have all the systems and I have a gaming rig that's really expensive. And it isn't even I have the new portable PCs. They've got these very large portable gaming PCs from Valve. Cool stuff, but I don't like looking down all the time. If they had one that had a shoulder mouse that I could just put it in front of me, and if they had one, if they had a VR headset that had sunglasses in it that put the screen 8 feet in front of my face, and I had sunglasses, then yeah, maybe, right? And I could lean my head back on it, and I would move my head forward, and it wouldn't be in front of me. It would be up there like a shoulder pad hat. So let's talk about gluten-free. Every time I see what looks like an abandoned restaurant or an empty restaurant space in a premium location, I get this pang of, gee, I wish that I could franchise this one particular Italian restaurant called Sans Gluten. There's this one gluten-free restaurant down in the village. It's mine. They tell me these things are mine. There's even one place called Sage. But there's this one restaurant in the village called Sans Gluten. It's an Italian restaurant. Looks very nice. It fits right in. It doesn't even look corporate and new. It looks weathered and like it's been in the village forever, like every other place there. In fact, that whole place needs the whole West Village, West 4th area needs, like, really a not a total renovation, but at the very least like a new awning budget. And every time I see a premium location restaurant that isn't there, I go, oh, if only my ability to form a coherent sentence actually mattered in this world full of non-verbal imbeciles that get to have everything and fail on purpose because competition is scary to rich people. And then I start to imagine how I would run a gluten-free restaurant differently. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the restaurant business is just to source the cheapest materials and then to sell the service and to fluff it up, Yeah, things got to be fresh. And when you have rock star chefs, they also famously try to tell you that they go to the pier to get the fresh everything. Excuse me. You have a nice smile. Both of you. But with a gluten-free restaurant, it would be completely different. So there are two kinds of gluten-free items. There is the diet item that makes you feel like you're a bad person and that you don't deserve the thing that you can't eat. That is the, like, for example, that is the gluten-free pizza that it is a cracker with tomato paste on top of it, and the tomato sauce might be gourmet, and the cheese might have little bits of oregano in it, and it might look like a fancy painting, but it isn't a very pleasant pizza experience. It makes you feel like you're a different person. You're a weirdo. You don't eat normal food. You're a weirdo. And if you try to get gluten-free donuts, they make you worry about children. They're so sugary, and they don't have any fluff or texture. That you go to the grocery store and you get a box of gluten-free donuts, and you bite into the gluten-free donut and you worry about the glycosemic levels of diabetic children. That's how much sugar is in these gluten-free donuts. And then there's the other type of gluten-free item, and that is the miraculous, like, you want to save it for a holiday. And there's a pumpkin pie, apple pie company that does a really nice pumpkin pie that tastes like farina, the Spanish breakfast food that my grandmother used to make me. I really like this pumpkin pie. I can't tell you enough how much I like this pumpkin pie experience. And there's a pizza that I found while praying in the grocery store. I was in the grocery store in Portland, Oregon, and I was almost about ready to cry. And I needed a sign, and I looked up. Yeah, that gummy is hitting just now. I was in the grocery store praying, and I needed a sign, and I looked up and I saw a pizza box that said "Against the Grain," and it reminded me of a carpenter that I once loved. And and I got the pizza and I was crying. I think I might have been crying. I might start crying right now. It's a very special brand. They make a bread crust that has cheese in the crust, not in the crust, but in the ingredients of the crust, so that it has like a gummy. It doesn't have like a brittle. It doesn't have a brittle texture. And when you bake it just right, oh, it's so nice. Even in the microwave, this pizza is this Against the Grain pizza. Even in the microwave, it's not a bad experience. It's a better than pleasant. But I mean, it's when you microwave food, you just don't want it to be bad, and you don't want it to be unpleasant. And it is not unpleasant. It's much better than the other gluten-free pizzas in the microwave that especially come across as crackers with cheese and sauce on top. That the cheese and the sauce is going to fall off as soon as you start eating it. You might as well just take a fork and a knife to the other kinds of pizzas and chop them up and use it as like a dip, and like take the bread pieces out and dip it back in the sauce, because it's just like a dip. It's not even a pizza. So if I were to be able to turn one of these premium restaurant locations into a gluten-free, into a franchised sans gluten, it would be much different, because I would not be selling the items. Because first of all, if you're gluten intolerant, you really don't want anybody touching your food a lot. Even if the whole place is gluten-free, but really, if you're gluten-free, they might as well just come out with the ingredients on the side of the box and give it to you like a business card so that you could look at it and smile. And the funny thing about being gluten-free is that if you are gluten intolerant, probably everybody hates you and wants you to die. And life is so stressful that your stomach can't hold its own flora. So really all you feel like doing is feeling like a normal person, and you don't have you don't worry about spending too much money. You're just like, listen, I have $50. If I can get 2 pizza pies with a pound of kale ground into a paste, cold pressed into a slurry or a salad on top. What do you call it? Food processor. I have $50. If I can get 2 pizza pies and a bottle of wine, I'm gonna feel like I'm feel okay. And 2 pizza pies, that's $18 a piece, and the wine is $20. You buy it on bulk at $9.99. You sell it for $25. The pizzas you sell for it's $65, 2 pizzas and a full bottle of wine. Okay, and then I'll tip you the extra 10, 75 beans. I like the number 75. But before I was thinking about a gluten-free restaurant, I used to think about a hummus place where it would just be gluten-free corn chips without any salt, and hummus, and basically everything would be cheap. Everything would be real cheap, like if you're gonna eat corn chips as the big item, like the potatoes, the mashed potatoes. If you're gonna eat corn chips as the bread or the mashed potatoes of your meal, you don't want those corn chips to taste like a salt lick, because you're not going to be able to really get full and feel comfortable on a half a pound of salty corn chips. So and you don't want, they have these things called restaurant style corn chips. They're basically razor blades. I don't know why they call them restaurant style corn chips. It's like, you can't use them as dip. You can't really bite into them. Every time you bite into one of these super thin corn chips, you have to consider what you're doing. You can't really mindlessly enjoy them, and they have almost no mouthfeel because they're so thin that as soon as you crush them, that they're goop. But we finally made it so that we finally got to the point where the gluten-free store brand corn chips. Check out this restaurant. It's got 2 floors. It's got it has potential to have wheelchair accessibility to the 2nd floor. It's so close to Lincoln Center, and it's close to 2 train stations, Columbus Circle and Lincoln Center. And when I found that they were no longer here, I said, oh man, imagine if my ability to form a coherent sentence actually mattered in this world full of nonverbal imbeciles who get to have everything and fail on purpose because winning scares rich people. And on the premium side, it would be, let's say, a list of 50 items. Really, altogether, it would be 50 items. But let's say it was 10 premium items. The pizza, the pumpkin pie, the wine. What else? the chicken parm that comes pre-made. Why does everything have to be pre-made? Because when you're gluten-free, you really don't have tolerance for waiting for food. You're sort of in like a low-carb, hangry state most of the time. So you come in, they pop it in the nuker for 3 minutes. They pop it in the oven, the specialty oven that makes things fluffy, for 5 minutes, and they bring it out to you. It's like, if I can cook a pizza, when I cook the pizza in the oven, it takes longer than the microwave. So, you know, and the pizza is so nice. It's a perfect, this is funny. It's a perfect bottom for any kind of toppings. It's a perfect base for any kind of toppings. Also, when you ask for spinach on your pizza and you are a gluten intolerant person, you're not asking for vegetable flavoring or vegetable. You're not asking for vegetable flavoring or vegetable design. What's the word I'm looking for? Fashion, design, decoration. You know, when you're gluten intolerant and you ask for a vegetable on your pizza, you're not asking for vegetable flavoring or vegetable decoration. You're asking for a high potency fiber with a lot of minerals in it, not 25 individual spinach leaves that then get flattened and burn in the oven, you know? And if you're looking for a consumer base, a customer base that appreciates quality and is willing to spend money, you know, on the money side of things, who knows if anyone is going to get rounded up by the Gestapo and have their banks seized, right? Who knows whose industry is going to have the rug pulled out under it at any moment, right? Who knows, you know, who knows who gets to go outside and spend money anymore? Because if you translate disposable income into Spanish, it doesn't make sense. Because if you say disposable income in Spanish to someone who speaks Spanish, they're going to say to you, money that you throw in the garbage? That doesn't make any sense. Thank you. So, if you're looking for a customer base that appreciates quality and likes to yap, I would recommend the gluten-free customer base, because everyone hates them and their stomach is stressed to the point that they cannot tolerate glyphosate. Now, let me just state for the record that it is important that as many people who are healthy and vibrant and who have stable living experiences and have children who help them with their immune system and who have medical insurance, it's important that these people eat toxins. It's important that as many people eat toxins as possible. That's important. I bet you can't guess. I bet you can't guess why it's important that as many people eat toxins as possible. Because over time, the human race needs to be breeding for strength, not finding dainty little ways to be sensitive. So it's important that healthy people eat all kinds of crazy, destructive poisons all the time. This is not an unimportant thing. If you were to give everyone the most sensitive, hypoallergenic, easy to process food, even if it was yogurt, they would become within 3 generations the most vulnerable, prissy, yeesh. You know, they look at a mosquito the wrong way and they break out into hives. You don't want that kind of thing for the entire species. So it's important that as many healthy people eat toxins as possible. Not that they got to eat battery acid or jump off of buildings or anything to make their legs strong. But, you know, and actually being gluten intolerant makes you incredibly vulnerable to fungal infection because your body is not chock full of preservatives. So you're more susceptible to all kinds of like stuff. Hence the half a pound of kale. That's it. I don't really have anything else to say about it. As I was recording this recording, everyone is so helpless, classist, competitive conformists that they were looking at me like I was going to get in trouble for thinking about ever not being a homeless person. So,
make them in a better mood, I promise.
Just get the paycheck. I saw these guys on the street trying to get some sort of like signatures or credit card numbers, and it's like, I feel bad for anyone whose job requires them interacting with people, like getting people to do anything right now. I feel bad for you. Sorry. There's so few illusions. There's so few illusions that it's not even a matter of charm or being polite or having a positive attitude these days. These days, the question is, you just do the numbers until you find do anything that you tell them to do per body, and then you know, it's like you just wait there until you find a mark. What else can I say? So the hummus salad, soup and salad place, not really soup though. The hummus spot would be like low impact, you know, almost like an organic fast food. In fact, these slop places have basically done what I was thinking of. I didn't even realize that. Frick, man. Did I invent the slop bucket restaurant? Oh, man. So about 15 years ago, I was hanging out in Union Square, and people would ask me like questions about all types of things, and I would often reference this Bible verse that true religion undefiled by man is to visit widows and orphans and to keep yourself pure from the world. And that same year, although I did not notice it at the time, the jean company True Religion came out. And it took me about 7 years, and it took me about 7 years, 5 to 7 years to go, oh, did that happen? Oh, man. Like the other day, I was wondering if I could find the picture that I remember for Time's Person of the Year for 2011. Because I noticed that it's not the picture that I remember it being. And I thought maybe it was not scrubbed, right? Maybe it wasn't scrubbed. Maybe I can find it. I'll just go to Shepard Fairey's website and I'll look at all of his art for the year and it'll be there. And it wasn't.
Diabolical. And then I love the scene of Leia being like, I love you.
I like when they're honest. Really loud. That ruling class cum dumpster was very loud, Tim. What can I tell you, right? How can you complain? We live in the age of the cum dumpster. What are you gonna do? My trick is that I'm poor so that I can't afford to pay this bitch. In fact, I'm not really even poor because I am rich. Like, let's not kid ourselves. But I definitely am poor people. I'm definitely what you would call poor people. In that I'm eager to rock the boat and I'm constantly trying to prove myself. Everybody else is pretty much on lizard mode. I'm gonna soak up the sun. Tell everyone to lighten up.